Hey everybody, Dustin DePirak here, columnist Jeremy Price, and we brought the ginger back.
Product placement.
Dasani, I guess, owes us money now, or something like that.
We can only hope.
One way or another,
It's more if it'll actually work.
jeez. Indiana beats Bryant 97-54 in your season opener. In the postgame, Zach managed to stump Tom Crean with the word reticence. He was not aware what that meant. I brought up the word reluctance, and he got it, so, we managed to fix that. But anyway, Indiana did to Bryant what you kind of figured they were going to do to Bryant, more or less. The season opener was as it was. They kind of, took a few minutes to get rolling, but once they did, it was 48-28 by half, and they were never closer than 20 in the second half. Out-rebounded them 46-29, basically out-athleted them just, every way across the board. Out-outed them or something. Jeremy, basically, just what did you see tonight? Was this pretty much what you thought it was going to be like, I guess, the degree
pretty
of
much
beatdown
was.
you figured? Yeah.
Pretty much was. It was a nice introduction for Yogi Ferrell, obviously. First game made quite an impression. He was a big part of the run that ultimately kind of put some separation there at the end of the first half. So, that was the big thing. That and I
was
think
one of the big takeaways.
Christian Watford's rebounding. Those are probably the two big takeaways, I think.
Yeah, I think as far as Watford's rebound is concerned, I mean, he obviously was really grabbing it over guys that were, a head shorter than him. So, I mean, in terms of how impressive what he did was, not much, but what you saw was that level of energy that you don't always see, that Watford brings from time to time. But, I think the goal for him, I guess, this year is going to bring that on a regular basis, because you saw that in the tournament last year. You saw what he's capable of doing. He had a stretch of double-doubles in there, not just in the tournament, but really toward the end of the season. And that, as Tom Crean pointed out, is what the NBA wants to see. If he's going to get drafted this year, after this, and now he doesn't, have any more time to make it happen, that's what he has to do. He has to rebound, he has to defend, but he has to be physical, and he has to be energetic, and he has to, just bring more intensity than you're used to seeing. And you mentioned Ferrell. I mean, Zach, I think you wrote a lot about, Yogi in your story for 24/7 tonight. Just what, we've been watching him for a long time now.
Yes.
What did you, many high school
Literally
games, many
almost
AAU
2
games.
full years.
Yeah, really. So it doesn't even feel like he's a freshman. I feel like I've been watching him for a decade already. But was this kind of what you expected from him? What did you see from him tonight? In terms of his college debut.
Obviously the stats jump out. And I think what I said in my column, and I'm not sure you really can expect this from a freshman until they give it to you, is he didn't. You see a lot of freshmen that are really talented in their own way, but I don't think you see a lot of freshmen who really kind of just are so composed and so comfortable in command of the floor.
Yeah.
There was a lot of kind of Trey Burke in him tonight from last
That's
year.
true.
I mean, at one point I was thinking Jordan Hulse walked over to Tom Crean and he was talking with Crean, and they were there was back and forth going on, and I thought, wow, that's just another little sign of how far the program's come, that players don't just come over to Crean with questions, they come over with comments, with ideas.
Right.
Now, they have things to contribute rather than just things to soak up. And then about 2 minutes later, Ferrell came over with that, and I thought, wow, I mean, you don't see a lot of freshmen that are ready to just kind of be that involved in the game,
right,
that they're suggesting adjustments or they're explaining what they're seeing.
Yeah.
In a way that's really productive and truly productive. And I thought that was important because, he's got a big role this year. This is a veteran team.
Yeah.
A lot of guys who played a lot of minutes, and really he's kind of unseating, and I use that exact term in my column, he's kind of unseating Indiana's, if you want to rank Indiana's leaders, Jordan Hulse is at the top. Somebody else might be up there with him, but he's at the top. And Ferrell's kind of unseating him as point guard.
To a degree.
Yeah, I mean, not totally, but in a lot of situations when they're on the floor together. I think that takes a lot, and I think that, and that's something else that certainly I think shows up irrespective of the opponent, too.
Yeah.
So I thought that was what impressed me the most, was there was no reticence.
No reticence.
From Yogi Ferrell.
No reticence.
Just kind of take control of the game. And play like a veteran.
I do think you mentioned him on seating holes. I mean, and I guess that's true to a degree. But I did see, I think, a few moments where you could truly say, yes, there are two point guards on the floor at the same time, and it works that way, in that you see them sort of swing the ball to each other, and they're looking to distribute, and they're like, they're in command, I guess. I mean, each one of them, whenever they get the ball at the top of the key or whatever, or like on the wing, is in command of the offense. And I think it's good. I'm not surprised it's playing out that way, just because they're so, they have such incredibly high basketball IQs between the two of them.
I guess what I'm just saying is, I mean, last year you saw a similar dynamic between Verdell Jones and Jordan Hulls, but if you said who's your lead ball handler in this offense, it
You
was
probably would
Hulls.
still, yeah.
I think it was Hulls more than Jones. I think this year it's 50-50. By the end of the year, I wouldn't be surprised if you really kind of think when
That
the ball
Yogi's
comes
the
up
guy.
the floor, it goes into Yogi's hands first.
Right. Yeah. You might see that more and more. What's your take on this, Joe?
And to that point, I think the thing is, not only was Yogi not reticent to assume control,
means reluctant.
but I thought his teammates clearly were looking for him for that leadership. They
Right.
already recognized the fact that this is a guy that can get us where we need to get, put us in the right position on the floor, get us into our offense.
Yeah.
The ball's in his hands. Good things are going to happen.
Right. I guess it just does it. It's strange, I guess, how little it struck me, just simply because I'm used to seeing that from Yogi. We've seen some, but I think between Zach and I, we've seen him do this so much that it's him just stepping right in doesn't seem, just doesn't seem out of place. It's like, of course Yogi's, running the floor. Of course Yogi's the point guard. That's just what Yogi does.
Isaiah Thomas tweeted about him after the game. Well,
Really?
it just
Isaiah
tweeted
Thomas has a Twitter account?
Kevin Yogi Farrell, but I mean, I take that to mean that he watched him and was impressed.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess. I didn't know Isaiah had a Twitter account.
I had to make sure.
I'm not sure if Isaiah
check
should
mark.
have a Twitter account.
I had to check a little bit.
Yogi keeps talking. Who else impressed you guys tonight? I mean, and obviously, again, this is a team that they were were able to just overpower. But in terms of, Cody obviously was good. Cody's always good. But what else stood out to you guys tonight? Who else did something that you were like, wow, that's something. That's going to be something they can use.
I mean, I don't mean to jump in. I thought Remy, at 6
Yeah.
of 6 from the field, and really just kind
From the free throw line, he was 2 for 2 from the field.
Sorry, so yeah, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 12 points overall, and really just kind of everything we saw last year, but better. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
aggressive, strong, with
Confident.
the ball, confident. But his form was better on his shot. He picked his spots better a little bit, and he just kind of he's the one player on this team more than anyone else that has always kind of talked about how much he just enjoys embracing his role.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to have, he doesn't seem to be a guy who talks a ton on the floor, but that's a glue guy. I mean, that kind of approach really draws other players in. I think Will Sheehy is a lot the same way.
Right.
And
They
that
have
kind of-
vastly different personalities, but
Yes,
yes.
it's true. But-
Incredibly, there's a chasm.
Polar
There's a
opposites in some
canyon
ways.
between those two. Yeah, more or less.
but-
Although Will's kind of a polar opposite to just about everybody.
But the point is that pulls other teammates in.
Yeah.
It kind of has this unspoken, maybe a little bit unmeasurable effect on the way you play when you've got a guy out there that you trust almost inherently to do
Yeah.
exactly what he's supposed to do. And again, I thought we just saw more of that. I thought we saw the same things, mentally in the way he approached the game. I just thought we saw a better player doing it.
Yeah. Jeremy,
I don't know if
who
there's
stood out
one.
to you?
I don't know if there's one player, but a thing that just struck me is even without Hannah Perea and Peter Jerkin, you go down the list here, and Sheehy has 10, Remy has 12, Hollowell has 12. I mean, you
6
just go
guys
down.
in double figures,
There's,
and- yeah.
there's plenty of options, especially on the wing, and Hollowell is versatile. Sheehy's versatile. There's enough guys that can do enough different things that this really isn't that big a deal, especially early on in the season.
It's
And-
the
and you
problem
never-
is when you're facing a legitimate front line
Well,
with
yeah,
depth.
But, what I would say to that, though, to Jeremy's point, is in games like this, though, that means you can steal minutes.
Sure.
You
Absolutely.
can. I mean, I think nobody. I'm looking at Watford played 29, Zeller played 27. I mean, those are your two high minutes getters for Indiana tonight. It means that you can go small. It means that you can up your rotations a little bit, so you can play Cody Zeller for 35 minutes, assuming he stays
Right.
out of foul trouble against UNC. You can use Christian Watford a little bit more, out in the Legends Classic, because you've got the depth behind them to not have to play them as much tonight and still be productive, still be efficient. There was never really a time after the slow start tonight, no matter who was on the floor, where you really felt like Indiana's offense wasn't working.
Yeah, no, that's
or
true.
defense, really, either. And I think that's just, I think that's really important. I think
Oh,
that
sure.
can't be understated.
No, go ahead, Jeremy. Look like you wanna
I
make
was
a
just
point.
gonna say, and there's that means that there's a lot of options for IU to get a spark. If one thing isn't working, there's something else that can be.
Yeah.
Jeremy Hollowell, point guard.
Hollowell point guard.
Sure.
Reese Creek 3-point shooter.
Watford took the ball at the top of the key one time. He wasn't really point guarding it, but he, took the ball from, like literally just above the 3-point line and took it all the way to the bucket pretty much. I mean, came and got a floater from about 5 feet out, but really broke a guy down. And he could do that, but I just rarely see it from there. I mean, I think he usually comes from the wing, but just straight up top of the key, drove in the teeth of it, scored over.
It was funny. Green gave Hollowell a quick lecture late in the game about running the offense, and then the next possession about being committed to running the offense, and then the next possession he called an isolation for Hollowell, and Hollowell had a pull-up jumper. So
yeah,
it's like, all right, we'll run the offense, Jeremy, and score.
Yeah, and on top of that, Tom Crean is getting paid a little bit more. $3.16 million, 2 more year contract extension.
2.52.
Yep, 2.52 to 3.16, and he's the coach through 2020 if he wants to be, unless something changes, and God knows what that might be. But anyway, back to it again on Monday. Thanks, guys.